What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most important NYCFC talk show. It's time to hang out with the dudes in blue for episode 129. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm your host, Joe Amato, and alongside me, as always,
Antonino, dude, what's up?
whole lot of nothing, dude.
I know. This is 3 weeks off is just as bad for us as it is for the team.
It's bad. It's definitely bad, dude. I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah, it's just luckily we've had other stuff to occupy us in between, but when it comes to having content to do a live show, it's a little bit more difficult.
A talk show about a team that doesn't play
But
games is
yeah,
very difficult to keep rolling in the fashion
yeah,
that we normally do.
I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But we're going to give it a try, nevertheless, because we are the dudes in blue. Yeah, make sure to give us the follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at dudes in blue. That's the best way to get in touch with us. So, hey, what's going on, Joey? Thanks so much for joining in on the broadcast. Let us know where you guys are watching from if you are tuning in live, and if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much for joining us. Right off the bat, Christian Smith says, "This break has made me dead inside. Try being a managing editor of a sports page dedicated to NYCFC." Dude, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. We feel it. We feel it. Yeah. I don't know. It's it's like at work we'll have these lulls where you'll have you'll have nothing going on and people are like, "What are you working on?" I'm like, "What do you want me to be working on? What can we be working on? There's nothing there."
Well, look, here's the good side. Here's the good side of this, dude. We don't have anything to be upset about,
Yeah, except that we're not playing.
except that we're not right. But there's no upsets. I'm not angry at any of our players at this present time. Come next Monday, that could be a very different story.
Oh
But
yeah.
But we're gonna chat a little bit about it. Let's chat a little bit about it. John Levin coming in saying hello. Stephen Berg saying hi as well. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us. Um, Dude, the vast emptiness of NYCFC news, um, you know, got closed a little bit because they released three long-term signings in the last week. Sean Johnson, Alex Ring, and Alex Collins all getting long-term contracts. And let us know in the comments what you think about those signings, guys. I think that's a very, very, very solid piece of news.
Yeah, I mean you've pretty much shored up the middle of your field. Not completely, but you've shored up a center back, a keeper, and a central midfielder. So you kind of got that straight line going there. Um, uh, Listen, for me, I think Ring is probably the biggest. If I'm going to rank them in order, I think it's Ring, um, and Callens and Johnson are pretty much equally as important to the defense. But I think Ring for me stands out. I think his comments about leaving the national team and finding a home here and wanting to stay here. It's what you want. And listen, if you get more players like that, where you might not necessarily know about them, but they bring a certain set of skills to this league, it's really good. I mean, listen, who if you told me you're going to give me three Alex Ring type players, one plays offense, one plays defense, and one plays midfield, I'd say you're going to have three pretty talented players at those positions. So for me, I think it's great. I'm just curious as to why they picked these three to sign now and not deal with in the off season, um, like everyone else. And I'm curious as to how long the long term actually is.
Well,
Is it
that's the
3 years?
question
Is
mark,
it
right?
5 years? Yeah. So, again, anything more than 2 years, I think is great. I think you got three guys that are really in the prime of their careers where, you're getting the best football that they have, and they're just going to continue to grow. And as they play together, more and more, it's gonna show. It's definitely gonna be a good uptick in production and value for those guys. I'm happy. If you're gonna give me a list of people who I want back, those three guys are easily at top of the list.
They're definitely on the list. I mean, for sure. I mean, look, Sean Johnson has been phenomenal in goal. I mean, we only know really Josh Saunders, and Sean Johnson versus Josh Saunders is like night and day. There's no question there, right?
I want to forget
But
about Josh Saunders.
but when you talk about Ring and Collins, you talk about two of our most consistent players on the field doing what they do week in and week out. That's the kind of spine you need from this team, right? And when you think about it, when you think about the communication now that Sean Johnson and Alex Ring and Collins have, the communication there is getting so good. Sean Johnson just getting better and better as a keeper, commanding that 18-yard box, and oftentimes starting the play through Alex Collins or Alex Ring and whoever that other right center back is going to be. I think it's a really smart move. I definitely think that. Actually, I'll throw this out to the comments, guys. I'm going to make a pretty bold statement here, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree. But I would vote that if David Villa does not return next season, short of signing a major signing on the offensive end, does Alex Ring get the captain's armband if David Villa is no longer on the team? I'm going to put that out to the comments and let me know, dude. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I think even if you bring in somebody that's really talented on offense, I don't think that automatically gives them the armband.
I meant like a David
Remember,
Villa type signing. A David Villa
yeah.
type signing.
I mean, again, but you're talking about someone who's new, fresh to the squad, versus someone who's been a leader. Not the leader, but a leader for the last 2 years. I think loyalty would kind of come into play there. Um, Again, he might not want the responsibility. We've seen him shy away from it a little bit this year as he's pawned it off on Chanel and other players at times. So, but for me, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think he is someone who can lead by example, who leaves it all on the field, who is vocal when needed, but for the most part, lets his play do the talking for him. Hard nosed and yet still not a person who's overly aggressive to the point where he's constantly putting himself in jeopardy and the team in jeopardy by getting red cards. You're going to accumulate the yellows, that's fine, but a majority of the time the ones he takes are either breaking up possible plays or he's doing a good enough job to disrupt and get people off the ball. So for me, I don't mind. He's my pick if David so happens to call it a career, and I'm okay with that. I think Ring is a very suitable replacement.
Let me get to some of the comments here, dude, because they
Yeah.
are coming in. Jorge says, unless Dome gives the armband to Amagat, which if NYCFC fans have it their way, we will not be seeing Amagat or Dome next season the way most people are acting right now. Most people are agreeing with their Alexander Ring for the captain's armband. David is saying Ring or Chanel, and I also saw another nod for Chanel as well. Jamal is saying either Ring or Chanel because both are great. It's interesting that Chanel was not on this list, but at the same time, I think it kind of makes sense in the way that Chanel has been on and off pretty much all season, kind of interchanging between him and Ibiaga. If Chanel was going to be on that list for me, you would have to see Chanel in the starting 11 consistently game after game after game. And something is not showing the coaching staff that he is capable of having that game week in and week out. So for me, I don't necessarily think Chanel is going to get it. I think he has worn it on occasion, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, he's definitely had it a couple times.
But I think if we're looking at potential long-term captain material, Alex Ring has been that guy. Like you said, he's vocal when he needs to be. He's quiet when he doesn't have to be vocal, and he lets his play do the talking. Mike Anderer from Blue City, what's going on, Mike?
Mikey, what's up?
is asking, isn't Rooney wearing the armband in DC? It depends on the signing. Yeah, I think he does wear the armband for DC. So
Oh, that's fine. I understand that, but I mean, for me personally, it's more of a loyalty thing. If you're out there in search of a captain because you don't have captain
but
material
that's a different
on your
story.
team, that's fine. But I think you have captain material here, which I think would kind of upset somebody. Like, if someone's right there for that role and they get passed over for someone who's just starting there, I think it's a little upsetting. Um, but again, there are times where, like Rooney, where you're bringing someone in because you need that leader, you need that captain, and you're bringing them in for that purpose. I don't think we would bring in a striker or an attacking player for that purpose necessarily when you've got somebody that's a solid in midfield that can do the job.
But here's what's
Um,
interesting, though. Here's what's interesting, because Wayne Rooney was the player to kind of come into that team and totally like turn them around. If we needed that kind of a player, and of late it looks like they do, because it's definitely not happening in the coaching staff at this point. Um, but then at that point, you do bring in a guy to do that. But I mean, I guess, out of our core guys, we do have captain material sitting in our starting lineup already.
and just because someone's not wearing an armband doesn't mean that they're not a leader. You can have offensive leader and defensive leaders. And listen, I think Sean Johnson is just as much a leader as Alex Rink, is or could be, or even Villa for that matter.
John
There are
Johnson too,
there are
easily.
yeah, so there are leaders. You don't have to wear an armband. And can someone come in and turn it around and not be the captain, not be named captain? Absolutely. Would they want to be named captain afterwards? It's possible, but there are players who just enjoy playing the game, and the armband doesn't necessarily hold a lot of weight with them. So that'll remain to be seen. But as far as do you have the material here? The answer is yes, and I think most fans would be accepting of Alex Ring as the captain.
I know I certainly would be.
Yeah, for sure.
He is the ringleader after all.
There you go. It would fit even better.
Yeah. That's a good little discussion, dude, for not having any news. How about that? You like how we just pulled that out of our butts right there?
Yeah, well, what else you got? You better start pulling some more because we got another half hour to go.
Guys, start putting in the comments. Let us know if there's anything you want us to chat about. But I'm going to throw something up here, dude. Are you nervous about playing DC United on Sunday? And let us know in the comments if you are, because I certainly am. They have won their last 3 straight, and going to Audi Field is certainly not going to be an easy feat for NYCFC, especially coming off a 3-week break when DC United has actually been playing games.
Yeah, again, that could play to our advantage. It could not. That will, we're not going to know until the end of the game, obviously. But you're playing a team that's hot, and they're they've caught up. They're right there. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I don't know if I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the rest of the season. I'm nervous as to see the direction of this team and whether they can turn it around or not. I mean, you're talking about possibly having Yangel Herrera back for 15, 20 minutes as part of this game to get his feet wet, reacclimated. So that's an interesting tidbit. We could see, what happens there with that. But nervous, yeah. I think you have to always be nervous with these guys at this point because I mean, look at what we've been doing lately. It's been very, very subpar, and again, it's gonna be a measuring stick type game where if you can come out with a result or get a point out of this one, it'll be interesting because there very likely could be that could be our first round matchup. So it's gonna be a tough one.
That's an interesting point. How that kind of happens. Every time like we close out the season, we seem to be facing clubs that we just recently faced. Alex Schaefer on Facebook saying they're going to have over 300 supporters there. I hope they bring the noise. That's
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But yeah, like Joey's saying
done a
here,
good job.
Philly
We
is also
traveled
playing
very
really
well.
well. And those, Philly and DC are 2 of the hottest teams right now. And he's got a point. I mean, like I said last week, dude, would you ever expect the way that this season started off that the Philadelphia Union are just 3 points back, and when we play them on decision day, that could decide whether or not we play at home or on the road for a playing game. It's absolutely unbelievable how
Yeah.
topsy turvy this league has become in the last few months of the season. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of the fun of it for a lot of teams, a lot of fans, because your team can go from rags to riches and vice versa. It's not always guaranteed. It's not like a lot of these other leagues, like NBA being one where you kind of know who the winner's going to be out of like two or three teams every season. Like why play the regular season? You might as well just put these three teams in and let them fight it out. Even football to an extent, you got a lot of teams where you kind of know where it's coming from year after year. So I enjoy it. I seeing how easily you can slip is a little bit scary, and seeing how easy you could be at the bottom after being at the top is a little jaunting. But yeah, bring it on. Let's see what goes on, and then let's see if we can string together a couple of victories here at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, we talked a little bit about Yangel Herrera potentially making his comeback. Do you think a player like that, and let us know in the comments, do you think a player like that, given NYCFC's recent run of form, do you really think a player like that, and I'm totally leading the witness here, do you think a player like Yangel Herrera is going to be that missing link that's going to make that impact in the midfield going forward? Like, is he really going to make that big of a difference? Let's say let's say he's match fit completely. Let's say he's 90 minutes fit for, say, the last game of the season and go into the playoffs. Do you really think a guy that's been out that long with new signings like Castellanos and Amagat, who are also fighting for minutes, do you think he's really going to make that much of an impact? Especially considering that Dome has never actually witnessed him play in person.
That's true. An interesting point to be made. Um, I think when it comes to Janhel, I think it's more of he's now got something to prove because he's at the end of his loan spell. He's really needs to show that he's healthy and needs to get back in there. And um, when he has played, he's done some good things and he's done some bad things. So I don't know if he could make a difference. I mean, listen, he could make a difference either way, positively or negatively. But it's going to remain to be seen if he can help ring out in the midfield and help create space for the guys in front of him. I think it will make a difference. I just don't know if the guys in front of him are ready to execute, because leading up to now, I say no, because the guys in front of him are the ones that got to put the ball in the net, and they haven't been doing it. So it doesn't really matter who you put behind them. It's a matter of those guys executing and finishing. And if that doesn't happen, you could put Jesus Christ in the midfield, and I don't think anybody's going to do anything. So
They might have to settle for
uh,
Jesus Medina.
you might have to. You might have to. It's gonna be interesting. Finally, usually at the end of the season, you're missing players, and now it comes down to it where we're gonna have like almost everybody available, which is gonna be interesting and could be helpful.
Yeah, but it could also make a much more difficult time for Dome, right? In the decision making, picking lineups, because now if you got a full roster of players that are training well every single week now you got to pick a starting 18 with players that you didn't even have access to until a couple of weeks ago.
This is true. This is true. But again,
And with the
I
amount that he
guess
tinkers, with the amount of tinkering this man does week to week,
yeah.
how good? Like his decision making has not been good.
No.
Let's call it what it is. His decision making has certainly not been good. So now let's give him more options and see what he does. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just I don't know. I don't know.
To be
I want.
interesting. Interesting.
Let me get to a couple comments here about the Yangel Herrera thing. Alex says, yes, definitely, he's going to help Maxi with space in the midfield. Not confident at all in Dome getting it right. So you think Herrera will make an impact as long as Dome actually plays him?
Yeah, that makes sense. But again, When was the last time you saw Maxi in the midfield?
Yeah, it's true.
If
He's
you
been.
continue to play, if you continue to play Maxi as a winger, I don't see how Yangel's going to help anybody because you're not going to be able to get the ball up to the top anyway. So again, it's going to come down to he's right. Alex is right. Dome is, he's going to have to get it right. And if you're going to play Yangel, I think if you got to be able to, you have to go back to the lineup we had when he kind of first got here. You keep Ring, Maxi, and now Yangel in the middle, and up top you have there you have your freedom right there.
But where's
Your
he gonna?
freedom is
But
right
where's he
there.
gonna play his boy Amagat?
Listen, he can play him in foosball for all I care.
That's his homeboy, man.
Listen, that is not a boy. That is an old man.
They went to school together.
His birth certificate is rigged.
They went to school together. It's terrible. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Well, I certainly hope that if Yangel Herrera is healthy enough to play even 15, 20 minutes against DC and possibly more than that against Philadelphia in the last match, I certainly hope that he does make an impact because somebody needs to make an impact here because we have not had it. We just have not had it.
Yep.
I want to get to a comment here, a little bit of change of direction in the conversation, dude, real quick.
Let's do it.
Mike from Blue City, I'm going to get his comment up on the board. He says, based on Jonathan Lewis's loan numbers, do you think he should get minutes in the next couple of games? Are you familiar with his loan numbers, dude? Because I can read it to you.
You should because I think I read them. I think I caught them. I think John Levin posted them. If I'm not mistaken, a few days ago. And I got a chance to see them, and I think everything was less than his MLS numbers.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, and guys, let us know in the comments. Answer Mike's
sample.
question here. He's played 5 matches. He's played 5 matches, had no goals and 1 assist.
Okay.
So,
what are the MLS numbers?
His MLS numbers for 2018: 14 matches, 1 goal, 2 assists. So even here's the interesting thing. I mean, if you're looking at just goals, assists, and matches played, not a very good player, right? From as a forward, right? But then you really got to look into how many minutes he played. You can't really just look at matches played. You really got to look at minutes played, and you really got to look at situations match by match from when he came into the game, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't earn a start for Domain or even for Patrick Vieira when he was playing well, even as a sub. So I don't necessarily think going to play for Louisville is going to have the James Sands effect just because of the nature that Jonathan Lewis. Jonathan Lewis is going to be that player that we're always going to be scratching our heads at, kind of like we did with Poku in the first season, right? Very similar. When he was on the field, he was shining, but yet the coaches didn't want to start him or give them minutes, and we really weren't 100% sure why. This is another one of those situations. So I think even if his numbers were better at Louisville, he still is not going to earn a start over Tati or over Medina or, dare I say, Rodney Wallace at this point. And I'm only saying that because of history.
And then I think you've got people in front of him on the depth chart that have had success throughout the year. So guys like Schradi and Burgett and Villa, those guys have had pretty decent years. All when all is said and done, they've all gotten it done. Jesus Medina to an extent too. So it's kind of like where do you put him in? Who do you put him in for? Whose spot is he?
We don't have a single formation, dude. Like we don't even know what we're going to see game to game. Like, we don't know who the hell we're going to see, what formation he's going to play.
This is the hardest part. This is why it's nice to have a consistent 11 and maybe have 1 or 2 rotating parts, week after week just to give guys breaks. But I think that tinkering period is odd because he didn't really tinker. Doman didn't tinker too much when he first got here. He started tinkering after that week of really, really solid games, where they won. They got a couple of results there. Then all of a sudden, between injuries and the tinkering started, and it hasn't been the same since. And that's been a downfall of a lot of teams where you've got talent. It's just that you kind of got to let everyone gel together and kind of ride out the storm. And if you keep changing pieces, you're never going to know what you have on a consistent basis. So I think these last two games, you need to put out whatever you think is the best lineup and kind of stick with it. And it's going to be tough call because you got a lot of guys that have deserved time and a lot of guys that are maybe newer and are playing a little bit better than guys who have been here a little bit longer. So it's a really, really tough decision. I do not envy being Domet right now, and I would not want to be in his shoes.
Christian on Facebook is saying goals and assists aren't everything though. Ball movement and technical skill are things that aren't always noticed by stats. And I'm agreeing with that. I said
100%, 100%.
Like, there's intangibles there that it's obvious, right? Like the energy when Jonathan Lewis stepped onto the pitch was certainly faster and more energetic when he was on versus when he was off, right? However, my point is that taking the numbers into consideration and taking the intangibles into consideration, I don't think he's going to get the minutes that we all think he deserves simply because this man in Domet Tarrant and even Patrick Vieira just didn't want to start the kid. So I don't think no amount of numbers or intangibles are going to get this kid the minutes that we all believe as fans he deserves. And it's just, is it right? Maybe not. Or maybe there's something that we're not seeing. We've said it over and over again, right? There's lots of things that happen in the locker room. You know, he might be better on the field than he is in the locker room, and sometimes that just doesn't gel. So, it remains to be seen. I don't necessarily think that loaning this guy out for 6 games to Louisville and then coming back to try to make a playoff run, you're not going to see Jonathan Lewis. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so. I don't.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, listen, if it's fine, it's not a right or wrong opinion at this point.
No, I'm asking him to prove me wrong because I want the kid to play.
All right, but listen, I think we all would. I don't care who's out there as long as they put forth the effort and give us the best chance of winning. I need the 11 guys out there that give us the best chance of winning, and I need the guys that are doing it consistently. And I don't know if we have enough of those guys right now because no one's really being, ultra consistent. So we're all going into this, holding hands and praying for the best because I don't think any one of us has a clue as to what's going to happen over these next couple weeks.
Dude, there's 2 games left. There's 2 games left. Both teams that up until recently were totally beatable. Right?
Oh yeah.
And now
doesn't look like that anymore.
This is not something to take lightly here. Philadelphia's been fantastic lately. DC United is, obviously being DC United right now. They're killing it. There's a chance, there is a freaking chance, dude, a legitimate chance that we finish in 4th. Where we got to play a playing game on the road. And it's like so upsetting to say that, dude, because the beginning of the season, not even the beginning of the season, up until the halfway mark of the season, we were Supporters Shield, MLS Cup contenders. Now, I understand that when the playoffs happen, once October 28th or 26th, whatever the hell day it is, happens, everything resets. Everything starts, you throw the rule book out the window and it's a free-for-all. But at the same time, dude, it's like, I don't think the Red Bulls feel that way. I don't think Atlanta is feeling that way. I think they're going to take that momentum straight up through the playoffs.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think I don't think I would ever ask a team to grab first place and stay there the entire year. I think it's hard to do that. Not say it's impossible, but
at least fight.
Yeah, to fall from 1st to 4th in such a short period of time is what's scary because it's not a gradual decline where you can kind of pull some positives. It's a complete free fall, and there's no easy way to get the plane back, back steady up before it's too late. Listen, a lot of people are thinking already towards next year. And
I'm
I
not counting them
can't.
out yet.
I'm not counting them out, but let's be realistic. All things kind of point to the negative side of the story rather than the positive side of the story. But again, these last two games could be big. These last two games, they can come out and they can have a solid lineup and they can get results and stay where they are, and we'll take it from there. We'll see where we go. But when you look at the competition and what they're doing versus what we've been doing, it's like night and day, and it's just hard to muster up the courage to put my faith in these guys.
No, it's tough, and I'm really worried that 2019 is going to be another building year. Where like one thing is going to change, dude. And I think we probably touched on this. I think we probably touched on this a little bit last week. One major thing is going to change in 2019. Either the coaching staff and the players will remain, or we're going to see a completely new team under Domi-Torrent. That's it. Like it's literally it's like one or the other. You're not going to have both. You're not gonna, you're not gonna see. You're just not. You're not gonna see both.
No, it's too much. It's very hard to it's like how do I put this? It's like sighting in a bow. For the archery people out there. If you're not hitting the paper, you can't start changing all the components of the bow until you hit the paper and realize what needs to be changed. So you can't start changing coaching staff and trying to get a coach that's going to fit the players that you have, and you can't just get rid of everybody and get a new coach and hope those guys gel. It's just it's far too large. The team's really going to have to pick one side and kind of stick with that and make their decisions on the opposite end of if you're picking staying with players, you've got to go find the coach that is suitable for those guys, which is really hard to do. Or you end up finding guys to cater to what you have coaching wise. Again, my biggest fear with that is if you keep Dome on as the head coach, and it's great, you give him a full transfer window, a full off season, you get him the guys that he thinks he wants or needs. Then all of a sudden you start the season off in 2019 with all this tinkering and all this trying to find a lineup, and the next thing you know, you've lost your first 7 games, or you've got 3 points to show out of your first 10 games, and you can't find your way back up. That to me is what's worrisome. I would much rather this team be 500 through the first month or two of the season, and then having it click like it did the first year under Patrick. That to me was my favorite part, where we started off in the middle, average, no problem, and then all of a sudden you figured something out and you just went upwards from there.
No, we have the opposite problem.
Yeah,
we started off on a skyward trajectory, and then the afterburners just die, and we just start plummeting to earth without any control. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Hey, real quick, dude, I just want to say, my mom's in the broadcast here saying, "Hey, dudes," but I wanted to say happy birthday to my dad, Big Al from the Bronx.
Big Al from the Bronx.
It's my dad's birthday, so happy birthday, Dad. Yo, big ups to Big Al. Yeah, Jorge is saying give him Pep's budget, and I'm not talking about my dad. I'm talking about Dome.
Again, that's the part of it. You can give him you can't use it, and you can't even when you're getting these great players and you're trying to sell them, you're only getting half the value, and you can't use it towards certain things. And it's like we're playing with Monopoly money. We don't want to go.
Don Garber is like the Monopoly guy of the MLS. You know what I mean? Like. He's making up rules as he goes along. He's like, this money can be used for this, but I got to take a little bit of it, and then this money's got to get used for this, but I got to take a little bit of it.
I said I do not want to play Monopoly with him.
It's horrible. It's horrible. This gam tam thank you ma'am crap like that still nobody understands.
Yeah, I think I think the rules that are in place are really put a hamper on things. But again,
We try to do things different. We try to do things. And listen, I don't want to get on a high horse here about Major League Soccer versus the rest of the world because we're 22 years old and the rest of the world is way older than that. Soccer in the soccer world. So we have a very long ways to go. But I can almost guarantee you, dude, that looking another 22 years down the line, soccer in the United States has to look completely different. It has to. If it wants to keep pace with the rest of the world, it's got to look completely different.
yeah, I agree. I think the rules that are in place now are okay. I think you're going to see a slight turn with all these guys being sold to European clubs. I think you're going to have more and more uh, better players want to come here knowing that they can get there. And then all of a sudden, what's going to happen is you're going to have teams you're going to have turnover. But you're going to have good players year after year because they're not going to care what club they go to because they're going to get the experience and they're going to get to shine. And you'll have again. It'll be unfortunate you have turnover and you won't have your favorite guys stay there for more than 2 or 3 years. But you're going to see a winning product. You're going to see a good product on the field every year, which is ultimately what you want. And then all of a sudden, when it gets to a point where it can sustain having all these good players and we have our own talent pool to pull from, then you'll see a kind of like a self-sustaining league. But until then, I think these big players coming in and finishing their career are keeping the fans, drawing the fans and introducing them to the game here, and hopefully they're loving it. They fall in love with it, and these younger guys coming in, just passing through. If they keep passing through and more keep passing through, you're gonna see a lot better soccer to a point where you can maybe loosen up the restrictions on rosters and things like that, and you'll have a better product ultimately. But for now, this is what we got. This is what we can be fans of and what we can deal with, and we will support as much as we can.
For the time being. Well, dude, listen,
Yeah.
we're getting to the end of the show here. I mean, it's we didn't do bad here, considering that there was no match to talk about. We eked out like 40 minutes here. It's not bad. We almost played a full half.
Yeah.
I just want to end on this, dude. The Columbus Crew are very, very close to staying in Columbus. In that
Kind of.
they're close, dude. They're very, very close.
It's a weird situation where it's like mom flushed the dead goldfish down the toilet, but she got you a new one, so it's like, it's still okay.
If the crew the main drive for the Columbus Crew was to stay in Columbus, obviously. That was
Mhm.
that was it. That was the whole save the crew movement. That's what this is all about, and getting PSV to either sell or to try to make it work in Columbus. And it looks like it's what is it? It's the Cleveland Browns that are going to be trying to take over this club. I mean, listen, if that happened to me in my club, I would be devastated. I would be, right? Especially if it was a team that I had followed for 20 plus years, right? Precourt might get his club in Austin anyway. The Crew fans might get their team to stay where it's at, and who knows? All's well that might end well. We shall see, but it's almost saved. The Crew is almost saved. That's it.
Yeah, it's good. It's
So it's
good.
good for them.
You never want to, and I always find it funny how like what do people do when their teams vacate? What did the Quebec Nordiques fans do? Did they become Colorado Avalanche fans? What happens? I don't know. I don't. Do you just root for another team? Is that kosher? Do you go root for Cincinnati if you don't have a I know it's a big difference in travel, but Do you switch? Is it that easy to switch? I don't know. Like it's just it's a weird situation I have never had to have been in. Um, but I feel like it's having the rug pulled out from under you when your team's been there for so long and all of a sudden it's just there. The threat of it not being there is just it's got to be crushing. But listen, let's hope that they still have a team and it's the same players, same staff, and just management's different, and they can work on getting a new stadium, hopefully, because I know that was one of the issues. I think
Sure.
that was a problem over there. But again, I'm happy that they're there, and if Precor wants his team in Austin, congratulations. Go down there, do what you got to do, and we'll see you when we have 40 teams in this league.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, that's probably a good place to stop, dude. That's episode 129, guys. We will definitely be back here Monday night live on Facebook for episode 130 after NYCFC takes on DC United. Oh, my gosh. That's going to be – I think it's going to be a good episode. I think one way or another, dude, it's going to be a really good episode Monday. The podcast will be out on Tuesday, obviously, for those that listen on the pod. And, we are at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dudes in Blue. It's really easy to get a hold of us on there. Make sure to give us the follow. And your reviews on iTunes and Facebook are greatly appreciated. And here's one other thing, guys. Here's another thing. If there's something you want to see or something you want to hear or there's a piece of content that you want, let us know because I've got a feeling that the team is going to be a lot more cooperative with shows like ours in the not so distant future. So the more support that we can get from you guys, the more content and access to the team we'll be able to get, more so than we already have. I mean, we're very, very grateful to what we're able to do with NYCFC to this point. They've been fantastic with us, but hopefully things will get better, and it will really only come when the support from you guys, the listeners, jump on board and let us know. That would be great. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always open. And listen, you can get Joe at his, Joe and I our Twitter handles, Instagram. You can drop us messages wherever you want. We see them.
We see them all,
and we respond fairly quickly to everything. And if we can make it happen and we can put your ideas in the works, we'll obviously give you props and hopefully it'll be something that we all can enjoy.
Jorge says he wants to see a video tutorial on how to reverse the wave. We'll get right on that.
Be right back.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, for listening, for all that you guys do for us here at Dudes in Blue. But we will be back on Monday, 8 p.m. on Facebook Live, and Tuesday on the podcast after NYCFC. Hopefully, the Steels takes home 3 points from DC United. But until then, dude,
stay blue.
Blue.